Hi, tell me, what do you think of this painting? Take a look at it. What do you think about it? Well, it's not mine. If the first thought that occurs or the first thought that comes across your mind is what could be better in the painting, then this video is for you. And if the first thought that you get is something positive to say about the painting, great. Continue watching the video either way because you know what you're doing good now, right? Namaste. Welcome to Master Yourself Academy's YouTube channel. This is Narmada Rao, psychologist and an NLP trainer. Today's topic, if you haven't guessed yet, is about advising versus appreciating. How many of us have this uncontrollable itch to advise and suggest things to people? When people reach out to you saying, hey, what do you think of this? Are you one of those who tends to appreciate people more, or are you one of those who tends to give a lot of unsolicited advice and suggestions? Well, what's wrong with that? Most of us think that we're expressing our concern and care for others by giving them new ideas and suggestions and advices on what they could do better and what they could do differently. But here's a small problem with it. The bottom line of any advice and suggestion is that, whether you like it or not, the bottom line is that I know better than you and you're not doing something good enough. That's how it's going to appear. Whether that's your intention or not is a different thing, but it is going to come across that way. And you may come across as Mr. or Miss Know-It-All. And nobody finds great pleasure in being next to a Mr. or Miss Know-It-All because nobody wants to be told that they're not good enough. And even if your advice and suggestions are for the best of reasons, for the best of goodness for them, still, if you're overdoing it, if you're not able to appreciate what they're doing because of the advice that you already have for them, then there's a problem with it. Does that mean you're never supposed to give anybody an advice? A lot of parents say, if I don't advise my son and daughter, how will they know? They need to hear this from me. Well, fair enough. You might have to do that once in a while. But if you keep doing that again and again and again, anytime somebody comes across with a new idea, thought, or work that they've done, if you're usually only advising them, then there's a problem. If you're able to appreciate them, and if you're able to save your advice, that is, if they ask you for your advice and then you give it to them, then that's all right. Or if you are able to appreciate them a lot, and then maybe just a little bit of advice, and that too not every time, once in a while, if you're able to do that, then you've still got it under control. But if you have this uncontrollable urge to keep advising, now there's an issue with it. Like I said, firstly, you may come across as Mr. or Miss Know-It-All, which can be very annoying for the other person. The second thing is people might feel discouraged or demotivated because they feel nothing that they do is good enough for you because you're constantly telling them what they could do better. Third thing is, how do you know that your way of doing is the best way of being? How do you know that, yes, somebody else might have faced success doing things a particular way. So out of your good intention, you might want to share this best practice with the other person. But how do you know that is the only way to be? How do you know that's the only route to success? There could be more roads to Rome than you and I are currently aware of. Unless we let people discover, they might not be able to discover for themselves. So it is important that we allow people to play the game that they have for themselves rather than you and me deciding how the next step should be. Well, you can say, I'm only giving a suggestion, they can take it or leave it. But if you're able to only give advice and suggestion, and if you're unable to appreciate anything of what they've done, that's where the problem arises. If you're able to appreciate them, that means if you're able to credit more by giving appreciation, and then if you debit once in a while by healthily criticizing or by healthily giving them some advice, that's okay. But if you're constantly only advising and never being able to appreciate, that's where the problem actually goes. So there was a lady who came for our program, a mother, and she said, every time I appreciate my son, he tells me, tell me, what do you want? We were surprised. We said, help us understand, how is it that you actually appreciate your son? She said, I appreciate him a lot. I always tell him, you've done this well, you've done that well. And after I appreciate him, I also tell him what he can do better the next time. So that's the problem. Every time she appreciated, she followed it up with an advice, which means now the appreciation is negated. I can't say I love you, but if I say I love you, but that means I don't love you. If I follow my appreciation always with an advice, that means there's still something not good enough. So advice and appreciation, if they're often and always found together, the advice usually demerits the appreciation. Hence, when you're appreciating somebody, please just go ahead and appreciate them. Don't worry, it's not going to hit their head, because when you appreciate people, make sure you appreciate them for the efforts, not the results. If you make it a result-based appreciation, that's when it's going to hit their head. But if you make it an effort-based appreciation, it is not going to hit their head. Furthermore, when you appreciate people, appreciate them for the values that they have demonstrated and the efforts. When you do it this way, appreciation is not going to backfire. It is not going to hit them in the head. It is going to land very well. So learn to appreciate people before you begin to advise them. Only a person who is able to appreciate will be the one who is looked upon by others. People might want to reach out to you more because you're someone who's generally come across as encouraging, and someone who comes across as very motivating. So people would like to come across and reach out to you. Furthermore, when you're mostly encouraging them and appreciating them, they might even seek your advice. But if you're constantly advising them, they might want to stay away from you. If they see you coming in one direction, they might run in the opposite direction after a point in time. So watch out. Beware of the pitfalls of advising more than appreciating. If you're doing it that way, reverse the balance. Make sure you appreciate more and advise a lot less, and only when it is required. And think about it. If you think your advice is really going to save their entire life from collapsing, maybe you can check with them if it is appropriate to give them an advice. But if you think, no, it's an advice, and even if I don't give them, the earth is not going to fall apart, they are not going to die, nothing's bad's going to fundamentally happen, then it's all right. Let them figure it out for themselves. After all, it's their life, right? And it's yours too. So don't let what other people think of you determine how you should be, and please don't determine how others should be based on what you think they should be doing. Let's give each other that freedom of space to learn, to make our mistakes, to learn from those mistakes, and to discover new ways of being and new ways of doing as well. Here's wishing you a lot of positive influence. Make sure you go ahead and give that one good dosage of appreciation to your own self too, and spread it to others as well. As always, if you like this video, please hit like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you have any questions, please reach out to us through our website at www.masteryourself.in. And thank you so much for watching. God bless.